Welcome back to the Balance Bully podcast for ambitious women in business and a few brave men. I'm your host, Naketa Ren Thigpen, ecstatic to wrap up this year with you. Do you hear me? Do you feel me? We are closing out a year, and for some of you, you will be hearing this for years to come. You can sense all of the good juju that is coming at you right now from the end of 2022 into whatever atmosphere you are receiving this in. Whatever month, whatever day, whatever week, whatever hour, we are here for you, which is why I needed this beautiful soul to close out the year with me. Now, a lot of you know that I interview fantastic and I dare say fabulous people from all across the globe. And every single expert is someone that I value, I professionally stalked, I believe in, I vouch for on some level, whether it's the service that they're doing, the product that they're working on, or, giving to the world, whatever it is. But when I tell you that I literally was peeling back the layers of our podcast and saying, where can I fit this woman in? I have to make space for her. I mean it. I literally have never meant anything more seriously than the birth of my two children than I mean this in this very moment. Masha is a phenomenal woman. She has a podcast that I happen to be biased about because she hosted me as well, called Stereotype Breakers, which is amazing. And it's about pushing women in STEM and beyond forward into all the places of possibilities that they can go so they don't limit themselves to whatever the black coat, white shirt, tie, suit, pants idea of tech looks like for them, so they can take their dreams and aspire to go higher so they can do more and they can impact within the space of tech as well. I have to say that she left such a deep impression on me that I was like, listen, what we going to do is we're going to figure out a time. We're going to make this happen. I don't care if we have to book it 6 months out. This is what's happening. And so here we are today. My dear new friend, Masha, welcome to the BBP. How are you today?
Wow, what an intro. I have goosebumps. Thank you so much for having me. Honestly, all of these kind words coming from you are just the biggest compliment I could ever receive. And I'm so happy to be here today. Thank you so much for having me. I'm doing well. I'm honestly just on a pedestal right now, feeling so good after that introduction. How are you?
I am golden because I'm sitting in this space with you right now. You are glowing and vibrating on all cylinders. And it probably has something to do with hiking in the mountains and being disconnected from all the world's worldliness and just having that sacred space for yourself and whatever other humans you invited into it with you. So I want you to tell everyone a little bit about what you were disconnecting from in terms of you refueling to do more of the impactful work that you do in the world.
Absolutely. Well, there's a lot of things going on in my world right now as I feel like I'm in the middle of another evolution,
Yeah.
You know how those evolutions, we look back and we remember those different states, but we don't remember how messy the transitions were. So
come on.
I'm going through a transition right now in terms of my identity, my career, etc. So a lot of things, a lot of thoughts, and basically getting away from it all and being able to step back and look at it from a different perspective, especially from a 14,000 foot mountain, helps.
Yeah, 1,000%. It really does when you can give yourself the spaciousness to be able to receive whatever you need to receive about what's going on, and also to separate some of the things that just got mixed up in all the noise of the transition that you were in internally and potentially externally as well. God knows I relate to that. And I've definitely gone through it 1,000,003 times. I feel like I'm at the peak of a next evolution too, where I feel the things changing in me and me listening a little bit differently than I normally do. And I consider myself a good listener, but you start to deepen and get more intimate with what's coming into your space when you're at that stage of transition. So I feel you completely on all the levels.
Absolutely. It is overwhelming, but because there's just so much noise, and a lot of it comes from the external expectations on you, and some of the notions that you were grown up with, right? Brought up with. And so dealing with that and figuring out what is your voice and what is someone else's voice can be difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. The scripts is what I referred to them at when I wrote Selfish, which is just a survivor's memoir. It's not a how-to book. It's my personal transformation story at that stage of that particular transformation or series of transformations. And I talked about those scripts that took me a really long time to even know that they didn't belong to me, that they weren't mine. And some of those expectations that you mentioned, some of the ones that quite frankly were no longer serving me were ones that belonged to me. They were private expectations that expired, that I set on myself because, you're ambitious and you have your checklist and you have I'm going to do this by 22 and this by 25 and 6 months old. And, whatever the litany of things is that we do to ourselves as ambitious women in business, because we are dope. And we make no apologies for that, but we can also be cray-cray in very other ways. And some of those expectations, I know I anchored myself to, and it became a tether because it really wasn't allowing me to fly. But I didn't understand it at the time because I was so enmeshed in what I thought I needed to do at that time. I don't know if you can relate, or the work that you do with your clients, you relate from that level either.
100%. They are kind of like these anchors, or kind of these stones that weigh you down when you're trying to swim. They hold you within a box that you don't need, right? And so it's a difficult process of figuring out what is yours and what is not.
Yeah, it is. It's I guess a weeding through and a separating, and you have to be really careful because you don't want to kill the beauty that's trying to grow up as you're trying to remove the weeds from what's entangling it and suffocating it. Because some of those things strengthened us, and we don't want to necessarily lose the lessons that might have been painful, but actually helped us become the person we are at this particular moment to be even able to receive the clarity that we're moving forward in a new direction. So I appreciate and honor that you also see that there is a difference, because a lot of us just, we use words like what I just said, we just think that something is going to be so simple, or that we will get over it and it wasn't that deep. And we don't honor the fact that we really were in a icky sticky, messy, clearly I have grandkids, you hear my language, a icky sticky, messy situation at the time, that we need to honor the process because it really is helping us, as well as helping us do whatever it is that we're doing in the world for other people. And you're doing a lot for other women. One, through your podcast specifically, that I can biasly stand for, because you're having deeper conversations and you're not letting people, at least you didn't do it with me, you're not letting people get away with surface answers. You're helping them, guiding them to go deeper so they can give you more of their truth and show their strength and vulnerability, which immediately helps everyone who's listening who really needed to hear that. And that takes a certain amount of personal development and growth just to be able to do that and do it in a sophisticated and kind way.
Thank you. I feel like we're constantly building those muscles, right? And I, at some point, realized that I hate on the surface conversations. As an introvert, I get my energy drains from those kinds of conversations.
Yeah.
And I recharge from deep conversations. Whenever it comes to social interactions, deep conversations is what inspires me and drives me and gives me energy, as opposed to on the surface conversations. So I try to have those more and more, and coming to that realization about how that feeds my energy. And I know I can see it feeds other people's energy too, right? Because being vulnerable with someone else it is difficult, but once you have done it, all of a sudden you feel so much more powerful in a way, right? Because
Yeah.
you are taking control over your story by sharing it,
Yes.
by voicing it, by putting it into
Yeah.
words. It's not just something that's in your head anymore.
No, 1,000%. And as I'm listening to you, you probably remember from our previous conversations, I'm very visual. So I'm like painting all kinds of pictures and images are floating in and all of it. And I saw this vision of you, you know, because I know you're an ex-Googler. I probably didn't say that right, but from that context. Oh, I did. Oh, perfect. Because it sounds like such a weird word to say, right? Like when you say it that way. But being enmeshed in all of the energy of that tech and all of the people and the dynamics and the systems and the red tape and all of it. And you and people are not physically seeing you in this particular moment while we're recording this because we keep the BBP pure and it's audio only and everyone following already knows it. New people, welcome to this world. And I see you with, you're this really petite, strong woman with this booming voice. And I like literally saw the sound waves of you trying to speak above all of the enmeshment that I was visualizing. And I saw you doing it separate. Like I saw it carrying you out of the enmeshment. Like, nope, this is not the space that I'm going to play in. Nothing wrong with this space. This is just not the space that I'm going to play in. And I'm going to move over here and create my own new world, my own magic, so that the people that I want to serve in the deepest and greatest way possible they themselves can be seen and be heard. And that's what I saw when you were talking.
That is such a beautiful visualization. I never thought about it that way, but sometimes, as you know, you need a third person view on your life in order to see certain patterns. And definitely, in a corporate structure or in most organizations, I just did not see myself fitting. And I realized that I need to break through that box. Again, we have patterns of me trying to create something of my own and trying to find my own voice. And I feel like it's a constant process, because your voice changes, because you go through different stages in your life, priorities change, what you can bring in terms of value changes, right? And what you think is important at this season changes. So constant process of that. But I think you're absolutely right in terms of I did not find myself fitting into a structure like Google. And then I moved on. After Google, I worked at university, which was the academics. It was an even more rigid structure.
Yes, it
and
is.
That was so suffocating. To me, at least, I'm sure there are certain people who enjoy that environment and thrive in it, but I found that I could not do it. So once I took my business full time, I was able to finally breathe and be creative and focus on things that I want to do. Of course, it brought its challenges, being a perfectionist, being an ambitious perfectionist who only has so many hours a day and wants to also rest and hydrate and take care of her mental health and work out, and who loves cooking and, who wants to experiment with that and gardening and, oh my God, so many hobbies and interests. But at the same time, work, because if it's not you, who else is it going to be? So it's just
right.
So the mountains are needed.
Yes, absolutely. 1,000%. And you're speaking to the hearts of so many of the ambitious women in business and those few brave men that are tuned in, because they relate. And I know they relate because we get those emails and those comments and those DMs about that very thing. Like, I want to have a great work life and love balance. I want to have room for the relationships that matter to me, not just the forever lover, which is important if that's what you want to embrace in your life, the way I do, and I know you do, but also for your sisterships, those friendships that you have that are very stimulating and healthy and reciprocal. And with trusted people that you can share parts of yourself that are just different than what you share with your forever lover. Maybe, those cousins you haven't seen since you were visiting your grandparents on the farm when you were 10, all of those things that we want. And then we look at our time and say, but where is the time? How do we create it? Where do we get it? We need two of us. And one of the fun things that I like to actually do with people, especially when my clients say that, is I just need two of me. Like, picture two of you. Seriously, two of your attitude, two of your moods, two of your, non-negotiable personality parts of yourself. Like, picture two of you, not just the beast mode two of you, all the good parts two of you that gets a lot of things done two of you, but two of you means two of you. Do you really want that? Or would you like the one of you to just create spaciousness for yourself?
And systems, right? Because
yes,
it's also about systems and what do you automate? What do you completely eliminate? And what do you not care about, right?
Come on.
The older I get, the more I understand that certain things just don't need to be perfect. And certain things just, this is where I can let go of control in these places. And as I'm thinking, because at the moment I don't have children, but I want to have children. It's one of my, choices. And, one of the things that I want to do in life, as I think about that, I think, how do I make sure that that version of me doesn't feel the pressure to be perfect at all times, doesn't feel the pressure to do it all? And how do I just eliminate certain tasks that I don't need to do, or delegate certain things? Or like you said, your partner could also be that other person that completes you. And for me, I found that when we approach the subject of dividing certain things in the household from a team perspective, what is what are his superpowers? What are my superpowers? What do I enjoy more? For example, we have a very clear division. I wash the dishes. He vacuum cleans the floors. Like, that's a very clean division, because we both hate doing the other thing. And so it's just like, how do you create these systems? How do you divide the work? How can you be smarter about all of it so that it's not just overwhelming and you're constantly running around and you're constantly thinking, oh, but I haven't done this. Oh, but I haven't done that. It's difficult.
1,000%. Yeah, it's the complementing of the two of you together. For most of our listeners do have a complementary forever lover partner. And then there are some that are single and savvy and loving it. And they're like, listen, I'm good by myself and I'm happy. And none of us are mad at that. But to your point, there's a lot of benefit, whether you are single and savvy or you are partnered with your forever lover. I believe, and we joke, we're very silly here at Thick Pro. We say systems and thick thighs save lives. So we totally stand by both of those things. Like, having a little cushion is very important, as well as the systems and structures that allow you to do all of the things that you do. The bigger question becomes, what's on your plate that you want there versus what those scripts told you had to be there.
Yes. Oh my God. It's all down to the scripts. It's all down to, the gender roles that we are brought up with, that we are spoon fed, when we're young. And that is imprinted in our heads so deeply that we feel like we're not good enough when we're not, paying attention to some of those things. So it's just, how do you break free from those expectations that have been so deeply ingrained in you? But for the people who are, the people who are single and savvy, right, who don't have a partner, they can also find different systems, and they can find other types of partners that can help them, right? They can divide work with their friends, etc. You can create your own village, which is, of course, takes intention, takes work. But it is possible. If that's if that's a choice that you're making about how you want to live your life, just make it happen and divide and conquer.
That's right. It's that communal living that a lot of people got away from. And you don't have to go all the way to the right with communal living, where like you're literally all living in the same apartment complex necessarily, because that might be too much access for some people. You don't want to see your neighbors all the time, but you can create what a lot of single parents have done for years. There's the auntie, the good neighbor that you trust, that you've been at their house, you've been in their basement, you know, it's no dead bodies down there, you know, all of the things.
You've checked all their closets.
Checked all the closets, you know, and then of course there's just some people that are just emotional support that maybe live further distances from you, but you know, you can call and have a real deep, vulnerable conversation, and it will not go past their head and their heart. They're not trying to do pillow talk with someone else. Oh, guess what? Naketa called me and said ABC XYZ is happening in her life. And they're not trying to find a creative way to blast it on Instagram to share your business. You know, not those people, but the people that you really can trust with those deeper parts of you. And that might be more supportive than you needing a babysitter if you don't have kids or pets to, you know, that need nurturing when you're in the mountains for the weekend or whatever the case is. But you being able to be creative, to your point earlier, and deciding, I want something different than whatever this red tape systematic stuff is that's going on. I need to be seen and heard. So let me create it, which is going to mean tapping into my intuition and discerning who's really here for me. And showing up in reciprocal relationships, not just expecting to receive, but also willing to give, and not being on the other end where you're such a people pleaser that you're giving all of you away to the point you're emotionally broke. And now you want to just hide in the huddle because you're afraid that someone else is going to betray you and mistrust you. It's like a whole thing.
Absolutely. But the thing is, that is such a powerful and helpful exercise, figuring out who is that person that you can trust and that person that you can rely upon, who, you know, the person that you can trust with your whole heart with.
Yeah.
I've had friends that I've trusted my whole heart with, and then I got disappointed. And then I've had friends that I've trusted my heart to, and I was just, you know, I wasn't surprised because I knew that they were the right people. But it takes time and practice to figure out who those people are in your life. And as we get older, I feel like we have less and less time to spend quality time, you know, in-depth quality time with friends. So it's good to understand who are those real friends, right? Who are those people who have your back? So it's just, at some point, I see it as an elimination exercise. As
it really is,
you know, as not so great as it might sound, but I've eliminated some friends from my life. It's because they were not the real friends that I needed.
Yeah, 1,000%. I call all the people change agents.
Yes.
And they all come in your life for different parts, right? And some of those change agents are a reminder of when you weren't tapped into your discernment. And when you purposefully saw the red flags and chose not to pay attention because a part of you, an earlier scripting you, said, no, I see the potential. Yep. I see the possibility. And we were looking so far into their future where they were nowhere ready to come to grips with that we were missing exactly what was in front of us. As God knows, and I put myself on blast fully as the first partaker of that lesson, I had it happen multiple times, as recent as almost 5 years ago. Like, I'm a balance and relationship advisor. I do this for a living all day. I help people create parking lot assignments and see where they can reposition people and all of that. And I missed one. And I was like, what is going on? And it happens to all of us. It doesn't matter your degree, certification, your skill set, your background. If you're not mindful to tap in and listen to yourself at all times, regardless of how charming or how fun, because those people can be fun, right? Some of the most ridiculous people in our life, in our past life, are fun. And they caught us because they were so different than everyone else, but they got us right in the net. And it's okay. You could be caught. Just get out. Get out, like the movie, get out.
Absolutely. But also I try to think, I try to look at those, whenever you don't catch them earlier on, I try to look at it as, well, they had a lesson that you haven't learned before, right? So
Yep, that's right.
They have every single person, right? Every change agent has a purpose, brings a purpose. And sometimes you recognize the red flags and you don't go further with that relationship because you've already learned the lesson that they can bring to you. But sometimes you just haven't been exposed to that lesson before, and they're here for you, They're here for you to teach you, to hurt you, and to help you dust yourself off, get up, dust yourself off, and keep on going with this new learning.
That is so true. Listen, Masha, you and I could already talk for hours because you are on it all day. Okay. So I'm refocusing because you and I will definitely have like 3-4 parts of this episode.
I'm down.
With everything, right? Listen, I'm down too, but I'm going to hold you to it. With everything that you have going on and all that you're giving, even in the midst of your evolution and your transition that you're in right now, how are you giving yourself permission to pause?
For me, nature really grounds me. And if I can't go to nature, to the mountains and just feel how insignificant I am and how insignificant all of those to-dos are, in the grand scheme of things, I'm not saving lives. I'm not a surgeon. I can pause, that really reminds me of that. If I can't do that, it's my plants. I have, you see me on video, I have a bunch of plants here. You don't see all of the other plants that are in front of me. And then all of the other ones, we're growing tomatoes and zucchinis this year. And it's just, it brings me so much joy visiting them every single morning. So in the summer, part of my morning routine is going to water the plants outside, the tomatoes, the cucumbers. And it's just, it just balances me from the standpoint of all of those problems. They're not as significant. Nature, here's nature. This is, I don't know, like it helps me get back to my priorities in life and just like remember what is more important than worrying about something stupid.
Oh, I love it. You have such a beautiful perspective of an awareness that there are things that are bigger than you. And I especially love as a plant mama in training, because, it took me a long time to not kill everything green. But there is something powerful in giving life that actually gives right back to you just from its being. It's not doing anything. It's just being. There's something so powerful in that. That's beautiful.
So powerful. So powerful.
Woo. Okay. So how can people connect with you and learn more about the work that you're doing in the world and the podcast?
Absolutely. Well, the place where you can find all of the links, everything is my website, stereotypebreakers.com. You will find ways to connect with me there. You will find all of my content, including YouTube, podcast, TikTok. I TikTok.
Yes.
Instagram.
Oh, you TikTok.
Oh yeah, I TikTok. And all of those goodness, maybe some dancing videos, but mostly educational content on career growth, etc., personal branding. So stereotypebreakers.com, but Stereotype Breakers on most social media platforms will also get you there. And if you message me, you will get to my DM and I will respond to you.
Yes. Or someone from her team, because she does like to have some moments of pause in the mountains. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Because we all need it.
Masha, you're so amazing. Thank you so much for coming to the Balance Bully podcast, for carving out this time, especially after a beautiful, relaxing weekend. I know I can ramp things up and you're like, all right, now I'm ready to take over the world. So thank you so much. We truly, truly do appreciate you, especially because you are ending the year in the house of BBP.
Naketa, thank you so much for having me. This was wonderful. So, this is one of the types of conversations that just lights me up and gives me energy. So I thank you so much for having me and for giving me this energy. That you're amazing.
Oh, thank you. Say it again. No, I'm joking. I really do appreciate you. Balance Boldly listeners, I am so honored that you spent this year with us. I thank you. I'm holding space for you. If you have questions, feedback, takeaways, love notes, whatever, send them to asknaketa@thigpro.com, which is also at the bottom of the show notes, because I want to hear from you as we're planning and preparing for all that is coming up next. And if you happen to be hearing this in June of 2023 or February of 2025, I want you to do the same thing. And then I need you to do 2 more things for me. I know I usually only ask for 2, but today is special. I'm asking for 3. I want you to send me some feedback. I also want you to go follow Masha. Do yourself a favor and follow her on one of her favorite places to play. And if you're not sure, for some reason, you're like, well, I'm kind of settled in my career. I'm not in the tech space. I'm not sure. And you're making up a whole head game in your head. Okay. Listen to me really deeply. You have someone in your ecosystem that needed to hear this episode 6 months ago. Send it to them today. Before you do anything else, before you get off the Peloton, before you stop making the sandwiches for the kids, whatever it was you were doing while you were multitasking and listening, I need you to do that. That's number 2. And number 3, enjoy the balance of your day, but do it boldly.